Have you ever bitten into a perfectly ripe, golden slice of pineapple, only to feel that strange, prickly, almost burning sensation on your tongue a few seconds later? You know the feeling. It's that tingle. Most of us just shrug and say, it's the acid. Citrus does that. But here's the thing. That explanation? It's completely wrong. And the real reason your mouth feels that way is a lot more unsettling. Because when you eat a fresh pineapple, it's actually eating you back. So, if it's not acid, what is actually happening inside your mouth? And why does this one specific fruit seem to fight back? Let's start with what we all think we know. We've all had a sour lemon or a sharp orange, and we know that acidic feeling. It makes sense, right? Pineapple is tangy, so it must be the same thing. It's a neat, tidy explanation. But if you think about it for a second, the feeling is different. Lemon juice makes you pucker instantly. Pineapple's sting creeps up on you. It lingers. And sometimes, if you eat a lot of it, the roof of your mouth actually feels raw, like you've burned it with hot soup. That doesn't feel like a simple acid. It feels like an attack. And that's the clue. Because an attack is exactly what it is. The common belief is that the fruit's high acidity is the culprit. It's a simple story. Strong acid equals burning sensation. Case closed. It sounds right because we know citrus fruits sting. But here's why that explanation falls apart. The acidity of a pineapple, measured by its pH level, is actually pretty similar to that of an orange or a grapefruit. It's not dramatically more acidic. So if it's not the acid, what is it? To understand the truth, we have to shrink way down to the cellular level of the pineapple. Inside this spiky, sweet fruit, there's a tiny chemical weapon. It's called bromelain. Now, don't let the fancy name scare you. Bromelain is what's known as a proteolytic enzyme. Let's break that down. Proteo refers to protein. Lytic means to break apart or dissolve. So, bromelain is a microscopic machine whose only job is to grab hold of protein molecules and cut them into tiny, useless pieces. It's a protein dissolver. And here's the catch. What is your tongue made of? What are your lips, your cheeks, and the roof of your mouth made of? Protein. You are, for all intents and purposes, a very organized collection of protein. So, when you bite into that fresh pineapple, you're not just releasing juice. You're releasing a microscopic army. The bromelain immediately goes to work, latching onto the proteins in the soft tissues of your mouth. It starts snipping, breaking down the delicate mucous membrane that protects your tongue and cheeks. That tingling sensation? That's not a chemical burn from acid. That is the literal, physical sensation of your own cells being dismantled. It's your mouth being digested. The pineapple isn't just a fruit. It's eating you back. Now, before you swear off piña coladas forever, let's take a moment to appreciate how incredible this is. Long before scientists isolated bromelain in the 1800s, indigenous peoples in Central and South America were already using this property to their advantage. They knew that if you wrap tough meat in pineapple leaves or let it sit in the juice, it would become incredibly tender. They didn't have the word enzyme, but they understood the principle. This fruit has a superpower. It softens flesh. And we're still using that trick today. When you see a recipe that calls for pineapple juice in a marinade, you're essentially predigesting your steak. You're using the fruit's defense mechanism to do the work of a knife and fork before the food even hits the grill. But the most fascinating proof of this flesh-eating power comes from an unlikely place. Pineapple canneries in the mid-20th century. Workers who spent their days cutting fresh pineapple by hand noticed something bizarre. After a few days of work, the ridges on their fingertips, their unique fingerprints, would simply vanish. The concentrated bromelain on their hands was literally digesting the very top layers of their skin, smoothing them away. They would temporarily lose their fingerprints. It sounds like something out of a spy movie. And thankfully, once they wore gloves or took a few days off, the fingerprints grew right back. But it's a stark reminder that this isn't just a quirky feeling in your mouth. It's real, tangible biological power. So, If the pineapple is actively trying to digest us, how do we survive the encounter without losing our tongues? The answer lies in two places. First, your body is incredibly resilient. The cells in your mouth regenerate faster than almost anywhere else in your body. You're constantly shedding and replacing them. So while the bromelain is snacking on you, you're rebuilding the battlefield at an astonishing rate. The war ends in a stalemate. Second, the moment you swallow, the bromelain is defeated. Your stomach is filled with powerful hydrochloric acid that exists specifically to destroy biological threats like this. The enzyme doesn't stand a chance. But what if you love pineapple and don't want the sting? Well, you have two easy ways to disarm this delicious weapon. The first is heat. Bromelain is a protein itself, and like an egg, when you cook it, it changes shape and stops working. That's why pineapple never stings. It's been pasteurized with heat, rendering the enzyme harmless. The second trick is a clever one used in many cultures. If you soak fresh pineapple in salt water for a bit, the salt ions mess with the enzyme structure, effectively disarming it without having to cook the fruit. You can enjoy the fresh taste without the tingling war zone. So, the next time you take a bite of fresh pineapple, the question isn't just, is this sweet? It's a more interesting one. You are participating in one of the most bizarre interactions in the produce aisle. You are eating a fruit that evolved a chemical defense to stop animals from eating it. It's a microscopic arsenal designed to break down flesh. But you, being the clever human that you are, decided it tasted delicious anyway. You found ways to outsmart its defense, to use its power to tenderize your steak, and even to eat it raw while your mouth and the fruit engage in a tiny, temporary battle that you barely notice. So, the next time you feel that tingle, don't think of it as a burn. Think of it as the fruit putting up a fight, and you winning. If you enjoyed pulling back the curtain on this ordinary mystery, hit that like button and subscribe to Ordinary Explained. We take the things you see every day and show you the incredible stories hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.